This steering wheel cover been on a long time. I can't remember when I put it on even. It finally told me by falling apart like it has that it's time to put a new cover on this steering wheel, which is cracked. Actually, I probably should replace the steering wheel entirely, but for right now I'm not going to. And I have a new cover that I don't know if it's going to go on well or not. Anyway, this is it. It comes with needle thread, and it's a little bit different than this. You don't wrap this new cover, you stitch it around, and kind of a new wrinkle for me doing stitching. I've always wrapped them this way, and I've always liked these, but I decided to try something different. Whether or not it's any good or not, I don't know. Anyway, I'll go ahead and see if I can get through this and give you a little insight as to what it's going to be like putting this on. And right at the bottom, here's the thread and needle. And couldn't find a brown one, so I got a black one. But it'll match the rest of the dash actually better than brown, I guess. So we'll see. So bear with me, and I'll get this off and start the other one and see if I can explain it well enough so you'll know what you're up against if you decide to do a steering wheel cover yourself. That is one thin steering wheel. It's kind of cracked around here and there, but it's still good. So I've got the instructions right here, and they pretty much are pretty good instructions. I'll say that for them. I've read them already, and I'll kind of be looking at that from time to time as I go through this. Take the cover out of its package. And unfold it. This seam here, they say to be the bottom, have it at the bottom of the steering wheel. It is some sort of a leather on the back here. It feels like leather, and I don't know what this is on the top, but they advertise it, I believe, as leather, so it's probably a faux leather. Anyway, you stretch it over the steering wheel, as you do most steering wheel covers. I'm finding it easier to start at the bottom and pull it up than to start at the top and pull it down, for me anyway. And I got my seam off a little bit, so trying to get the seam, this bottom seam, centered at the bottom of the steering wheel. You want it to be tight, you don't really want it to be loose. Anyway, you kind of want this even all the way around, these edges. And this is stitched from the inside. Just a note, the kit come with 2 threads and 2 needles. That was kind of nice, just in case I guess you lose one. I need to take and unravel all this thread out, thread it through the needle, leave about 6 inches out from the needle, and then start my thread in from the back side of one of the front. Okay, the thread is through the needle. I've got about 6 inches hanging down. I go through a hole in the front, and what I want to do is pull the rest of the thread through this hole, but not the 6 inches, of course. You got to leave it. So you pull the rest of your thread through the hole. Very slowly. Put it through the next hole in the back. I put it, looked like directly, diagonally across from the first hole. And then I come out next hole diagonally like this, I believe. And you want to pull your thread through again, I guess, this way. I'm pulling the thread through the needle and through the hole. This does not seem right, but I'm doing it. Definitely hold on to your first piece here, because you're not going to be able to pull this tight. And I pulled my needle through the thread. I'm at the other end now of the thread, and I got to wrap it around through the next hole that's directly behind it, and through this hole right here. This hole right here, and then I'm wrapping it around, and I'm coming out this hole and then this hole, and you continue wrapping and pulling it tight, but you must hold on to this if you're going to get it tight, I think. The needle through. Okay. Keep about 6 inches or more on the needle. You don't want to drop it. Obviously, as you get more of this thread around there, the easier it will be, because you won't have all this long stuff to be pulling through at the same time. But you got to go slow, keep the knots out. You pull this tight like that, and eventually you'll be able to, it'll look really nice when you get done. It's already starting to look nice to me. Okay, well, so I'm going to hold on to the first piece of thread that I threaded through, and I've got this one here threaded. I hope this is coming out on camera so you can see this, because it's kind of a pain to get started. And then you pull it tight, and eventually that tight will hold. The more you get wrapped, eventually I'm sure it's going to hold. It's holding better now than it did on the first stitch. Like I said, about up to here, I think I was able to start pulling without having to hold on to this as much. Now I'm over to here, and I really don't, I can I wrap it around my hand like that, and I pull, and I can see them tighten up the little seams here, stitches I mean, and the instructions say you can pull it tight as well. This is what your stitching, I believe, should look like. Every hole that you come through here, there's a, when you pull it through this hole here, there's a hole directly behind here that you wrap it around, and then your needle will come through there, and it'll come out the whole next hole over here. So anyway, that's about what it should be looking like, I do believe. When you get down to the spoke, it can be a little difficult getting this hole here. But if you can do it, it'll look really nice. Next one, I'm going underneath, and this is another difficult one to get because I've got all this in the way and the needle's not curved. Okay, I got to here, and then I went around it like I normally did, and then I went through the back one back here, and then up through here just like the normally stitching, and then I'm going to go back around and then up through, and then this one, and it should pull tight and look fairly nice. So this is the way the stitching seems to work. It's going to go a little bit slanted now. I blame that on the spoke here, otherwise it would have been straight. One of the most important things you can do, and that I'm doing, is to keep pulling it tight. Because I believe even though it'll look loose right through here, it pulls these back here. And it tightens them up, so you keep pulling it tight all the way. Okay, after I got this done, I came up around here through the back one. I believe that was the first stitch when I started with this piece right here, and now I have both of these coming out through the center, and I will just tie those off The knot is tied. Now I'm going to tuck it up underneath. The excess is cut off. Okay, all smooth and all done. Wish I'd have got those a little tighter, but you know, when you're starting out, you have to get the feel for it. So maybe this video will help somebody else doing the same type of covering of their steering wheel. And I'm quite happy with the way mine turned out. I don't think it's going to loosen up anytime soon. I just hope it holds up as long as the last one did. So, okay, until the next video, I want to thank you all for watching and subscribing. This is Cars, Trucks, and Detours, aka Steve AZ 711. And bye.